So hello everyone who is watching our YouTube live stream or the recording of this week's growth call. I'm Christoph Atteneder and I'm your host today. As always, I already posted the Google Hangout invitation link in the chat, so you can join us here in the Hangout like Felix and Manfred as well. If you want to watch the live stream on YouTube, feel free to post your comments and questions in the live chat on the left, and we'll try to cover it at least at the end of the discussion. Yes. So I guess there will be lots of discussion today, so please use the chat. Today, we'll have a look at the numbers of last month, and especially on the payment methods, maybe together with Alfredo. I'm not sure if he's able to make it. We'll also decide which markets to vote for in our next liquidity week, and maybe even have time to talk about interesting proposals in the making for Bisq. So before we get into some information for everyone who is joining us for the first time and maybe don't know what Bisq is, some information. So Bisq is the only real decentralized fiat cryptocurrency exchange out there. So you can exchange fiat currencies like Canadian dollars with Bitcoin, or you can also exchange crypto with other cryptocurrencies. Our growth calls, like the one today, are about exchanging learnings on how to grow the Bisq network, where we need, of course, your help. We decided last year to focus for the next couple of months on growing especially liquidity on Bisq, which means to increase the number of buy and sell offers available. As today's call is also about our last liquidity week in the Canadian market, I want to explain quickly what we mean with liquidity week. So it's 1 week where everyone who is participating tries to have one buy and one sell offer available all the time to kickstart the market. Everyone who participates not only supports decentralized exchanges, but will also receive 20 BSQ token on top. The BSQ token utilities within the Bisq DAO, which will be released within the next couple of months, at least on testnet. So you can vote with the BSQ token, you can transfer it, buy, sell it, and you can pay trading fees with it. As always, if you want to know more about the Bisq DAO, we have a great white paper, or you can watch our first tech session. As always, I post the links below in the description after the call. So without further ado, let's switch to the slide. So we'll put them on full screen, present to everyone. Yeah, I think everyone should see it. Yeah, as you probably know, our last liquidity week was for the Canadian dollar and Bitcoin, and it was a great success. Actually, I looked at the trading numbers today and saw that we had our biggest day ever in this market on 4th of June with 6,000 Bitcoin worth $6,000 exchanged in one day. In the liquidity week before, we had, I think, 12 or $14,000 in total. So that this market is picking up quite well. So the big question is, where do you want us to move on next? And as we saw, that is quite hard to bootstrap the market as a first starting point for the discussion into our strongest potential markets last month. So there was, besides the one that are already very vivid. So there is Norway, Switzerland, Brazil, and Australia. To start the discussion, I will just quickly stop presenting to everyone. Felix, Manfred, shortly before the call, we started talking about which market to include or how we can push maybe in some markets where we have already some liquidity to the next step. Is there a market you are looking especially into, which we should include for getting voted for next liquidity week?
No, I think we should continue doing the liquidity weeks as we are, based on user demand, and they help to push an existing but small market into something much more useful. It seems to be working very well. I think we should continue to do that and do even more of those, maybe 2 a month if we can. But there's a different question apart from the liquidity week, which is how do we push a market which is already working and doing very well to the next level? And we don't know how to do that yet. I mean, organic growth is getting us there, but if we could manage to push it faster, I'd love to try out any idea which might get us there. And obviously, I was thinking of Bitcoin for euros, which is our biggest market right now. And we typically see more than 20. Today it was almost 40 offers a day. If we could find a way to get that to 100. So, I think it'd be a big boost for volume. It'd make the platform, the network, much more useful for everyone. But I don't know how. And I don't know, maybe we should do some kind of call for ideas on how that is done in other businesses that, where a market needs to be, where you drive adoption through different participation methods.
I've a bulletproof idea: just hack a centralized exchange, and then we're getting all the users again. The fun aside, I think the APIs, once they are ready, I think they will help a lot to push really to a new magnitude. And I had the other day a call with a Monero developer who is working on a market-making bot, an arbitrage bot for Monero to Bitcoin. And he's very interested to use Bisq for this. And I think when we would get this work, because it will need some more time for developing and so on, and from our side that the APIs are really ready to use. But I think that could multiply the volume easily by 10 or more, because then the market makers who don't want to do the manual trading, then it will become attractive for them. And I think that's true also with Altcoin, it's a little bit easier because we can automate the whole trade process. But I think for some liquidity providers, it will be also interesting on the fiat side, even if it's not fully automatable. Another idea, I'm not sure. For me, it's also, of course, the fiat market is the core in Bisq. But maybe it would be also interesting idea to push one of the altcoin markets. For instance, Zcash is also a privacy focused coin, and we have very little trades there. And I think most people just don't know it. Monero, we are pretty strong, as the Monero guys usually know about Bisq. But I think Zcash and Ethereum was in the early days quite strong, but somehow we lost quite a lot.
Ethereum, surprisingly, Ethereum has been quite strong this week. I had not seen so many offers on Ethereum for Bitcoin for many, many months. So that's a surprising and nice development. Because also it's the fastest, right? When you do crypto to crypto, it's really fast, it's really private.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't want to replace now the push for the fiat, because at the end they're more important. But maybe we could mix it a little bit. That we say, okay, let's try it with one of the altcoins and try to give it a push. Beside that, I mean, I made a few proposals for face-to-face trade. I'm not sure how much this will really help for liquidity. I fear it will take quite a bit of time.
Manfred, I am very skeptical of that. I know there's a lot of people asking for it. There's a lot of demand. It works for local Bitcoins. But even for local Bitcoins, you need so much more concentration of users. Okay, in SEPA, you get 20 users posting an offer. They can all trade with each other. On face-to-face, you need them to be at least within 100 kilometers of each other. And if you only have 100 users, the probabilities are tiny. But fine, I'm open to trying anything, but I'm just with that.
I feel it's because it's with the localization, it's even more a bottleneck then. But by the way, I checked the other day how many live users there are. So a year ago, it was between 50 and 100 live users, so in the network, so people who are in the same time online. And half a year ago, it was around 120. Now we had around 180. So it was basically 50% growing in the last 6 months or 5 months. And also from the downloads, I think the latest release has already 12,000 downloads in 3 or 4 weeks. So it's yeah, those numbers are not so bad.
Yeah, no, I mean the level at which the top markets like euro and dollar are at the moment. I mean, euro had over 35 offers today. Dollar had over 20. That at that level, it is extremely useful. You want to buy Bitcoin, you can. You want to sell Bitcoin, you can. Maybe it takes a couple of hours instead of a few minutes at a centralized exchange, but it works and it's really useful. But if we could kick it up another level to 100 offers, it would be hugely more useful. It would allow for larger trades. A newbie would come in and say, "Hey, look, I can sell at the price I want in 5 minutes."
Yeah. I mean, one other proposal, what I have, I don't want to go into the detail of that, but it's about additional security against stolen bank account scammers for low amounts, because for high amounts, we have already the account page witness feature. And a main motivation was reading a little bit Reddit and other forums and so on. I had the impression that quite a lot of local Bitcoin traders are considering to use Bisq. Most have no really much idea and don't understand how it works and how the security model works. But there have been quite often also there are concerns about chargeback, that if it's safe against chargeback risk. So maybe this feature, it will not push for sure the liquidity a lot, but it could create more confidence that local Bitcoin traders who don't like the recent changes there moving over to Bisq and feel more comfortable. Yeah. So it's
one thing that I've always when the API comes along, one way to limit the risk is to do using an instant payment solution like Revolut or something like that. You can do hundreds of small payments, and you release the funds in a very iterative way, so that you're never risking. I mean, I remember, I think it was a few years ago, there was another project for P2P exchange called CoinFein, and they had each trade is €1, but then the second it's finished, another one. They're all automatic, so it was like a downloading stream of percentage. You want to sell €100? Okay, it's 100 trades. It takes 5 minutes for all of them to get done, but at any point, if the payment doesn't come through, it stops, and you're never risking more than €1. Obviously, Bisq is not designed like that, but you could do, say, with Revolut or something, you could do $50, $20 trades.
Yeah. Actually, also the idea behind this limitations of the trade amounts, that's more safe to spread the risk by doing 10 trades with $300, like one trade with $3,000 or even higher amounts. When you have bad luck and this is a scammer, then it's just $300 lost instead of 3,000.
Yeah, regarding the liquidity weeks itself, to include altcoins, actually there was no real reason that we just picked fiat. Of course, yeah, it's very important for Bisq, but yeah, maybe we will add Zcash for this week's voting for the next liquidity week to see how the response is. Or we run 2 liquidity weeks all the time, one for an altcoin and one for a fiat
maybe
Bitcoin
that
market.
would be not a bad idea to switch between altcoin and fiat every time.
or at the same time, because
do one crypto and one fiat every month.
Yeah, because for us the effort is the same. So it's mainly a community effort. People have to gather together and just make a market. So yeah, wow. Then maybe sorry, Manfred.
Yeah, I think what it would require on these altcoins, I assume that most of those traders, don't know Bisq really, especially when they're more interested on their altcoin side, there are not so many troubles on the altcoin trading. So I'm not sure if you still can trade altcoin without KYC registration, but at least a year ago it was still possible. yeah. So I think it would maybe need a little bit more education effort to go into forums or Reddit and so on, and promote a little bit Bisq there.
Yeah, Anders, because you just joined us. Hi, and also hi, Alfredo. We were talking about how we have some markets where we have already some nice liquidity, like in euro or in dollar. And the question for us is, if we find a way how to push this to the next level besides just having it growing slowly organically. But yeah, most of us, we don't have any marketing background, so it's just developers speaking.
Right.
And I know that you have some marketing background. Do you have? Yeah.
I have some input. I got an idea last week, and that was I could use the Bitcoin meetup that I have here in Los Angeles to spend an entire meetup on basically going through how does Bisq function. Like, this is how you go here to download it. This is how you make a buy order. This is how you make a sell order. So people feel very sort of well acquainted with how it works, because many times it's just getting over that first barrier of having someone that they know and trust saying, this is how this thing works. There's many times, like, there's many people that have at the meetups I've had the last since 1st of August last year when I started, that have asked me, how do I buy Bitcoin? It's a very common question. How do I best buy Bitcoin? How do I buy it safe? And for me, I stopped recommending local Bitcoins, and I started recommending Bisq instead, because two main things: there's no custodial risk, and another very important thing is that there's no central database with your name saying that you bought 7 Bitcoin, that hackers sooner or later, one day in the future, will get their hands on and sell in the dark market, and then people with bad intentions of kidnapping and extortion will start knocking on people's door. So that's why I see Bisq as really the best way of, Bisq or other decentralized exchanges, you could say. But now I'm associated with Bisq and like Bisq, and is contributing to this project. So that's why I'm liking this. And recommending Bisq rather than another one. I think something like that, a meetup session where the focus is on how to use Bisq, I think that could help.
Can you do a live demo? Can you do a live demo with a couple of people in the meetup, and 2 laptops, and just do a live trade?
I could. I mean, I have internet access there, so I could do that. I could show them how to set up orders live. I could do that. Yeah. And,
yeah. Sorry. No. That was also for me one of the most exciting parts, doing your first order and then finding out, yeah, it really worked, and in the end, everything is settled successfully.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not very familiar with this kind of these centralized exchanges, and maybe you are kind of afraid. So I was a little bit skeptical, but not a lot. But yeah, it was just great to see. Yeah, it works out in the end. The problem or the question for me is, I think that activating local communities, that works really well. That works also in the development scene. You have these user groups, and they're incentivized by companies who create the software. The question for me is how we can reach out to all these local Bitcoin user groups in a structured way that this is running by itself. At the moment, I tried once. I just write to every meetup user group in the UK when we had the British Pound Liquidity Week, but I think one replied. Maybe it was my bad wording, so it sounded like any ICO promotion stuff, but
right.
Yeah, I fear that's a big problem, that they're making so much noise that you don't get through the noise anymore, and probably the meetup organizers, they get 100 mails every day or whatever from all kind of projects who want to sell their stuff.
The good thing here is that I'm now experienced in sitting on that side of the table and seeing some of those approaches. It's luckily not 100 a day. It's not even one a day. It's maybe one per week or per second week, and that might be something where I'm able to first try it out in my own meetup, and then seeing how it goes. And once that model is fine-tuned, I could take on a role there of pushing it, like contacting other meetups. I should be able to understand how they think, because I'm in a meetup organizer myself. So that might be possible. By the way, I wrote this idea on the Slack. I don't know if any of you saw it. I can't remember if it was under Ambassador or under Growth. But anyways,
I think it was on the Growth call. Yeah,
right.
Growth chat.
Yeah. But I think that would very much be worth a try. I think that will be a success. I think that could spur interest. I think it could spur people to download, and it could make people actually become users, because it's really when there's someone there to like mentally hold their hand and say, you know, this is okay, and you know, this one to me seems trustworthy, and that's all they need, because they're standing with totally confused and not knowing what to do. And it's so easy to argue that Bisq is the best way to go. So
I find this a great idea. You said also in America, I think it's usual that you have to pay for the location. In Europe, mostly you get these locations for free. That's a little bit different background. How much is it more or less for renting the room?
There's two rooms. The smaller one, they're now charging $700 for in the evening. That seats 46 people, but so they increased the price, and that actually means that even my normal meetups no longer make sense, because no one wants to spend that much on a ticket. That I can cover my costs, and then air condition, which is needed half of the year, is then $160 on top. The problem is the location of Los Angeles. If this was outside one of the main cities, I think anywhere outside of San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York, you would probably be able to find somewhere free that you could use. But what I am planning to do, I haven't done it yet, because I'm actually traveling next week, and I will be traveling for approximately a month and a week or something like that before I'm back. I'm back sometime in July, second half. But I'm planning to write a proposal to WeWork, which is where I'm located. So that's a shared office. I think they might be in Germany as well, or definitely several places in Europe. But they're a shared office, and they make their money from people coming and either renting a small office, medium-sized office, or just a hot desk where you go and sit at any available desk, and then you have Wi-Fi, you have coffee, and you have all these things. And so what I'm planning to propose to them is that before the meetup, I will, we could run any type of room sponsorship advertising for them that they want. If they want me to run a 3-minute video explaining what is WeWork.
Yeah, that's how
or
it's in
anything.
Europe. Usually also working that they're in a co-working space. They're happy to bring people and make a small introduction. Then you have the room for free and the drinks as well.
Exactly. That's what
the best. Yeah. Because I mean, we can, of course, with the compensation requests, we can cover something, but we don't have really euro or dollar or whatever for. I mean, yeah, Bisq has no funding, and we don't want to get really in a type of paid marketing where we really have to put money into, because it's why we are not paying developers who are doing a lot of work since years for free, and so it's a little bit a difficult topic. Would be great to get such a model working, and would fit better to the spirit of Bisq as well.
It has to be done in a way where the location becomes free. I agree I come to that same conclusion myself. I have to either negotiate with them, or I have to find somewhere else. Maybe I need to go to a restaurant on their, if every Monday is their empty day, maybe we can get half of a restaurant, and it's not going to be as fancy as in a cinema with a huge screen and everything is beautiful and comfortable seats.
It's often more cozy when people have more close contact and
but people do appreciate this this facility, though. I mean, most people are saying this is really fantastic. But so I'll try and get this free. If that is not possible, I will try. I will find something else. So the only issue is that I will be traveling now from beginning of next week. So it's going to be end of July or August that this will happen. But nevertheless, I think it's a good idea personally. What do you guys think?
So sorry, Manfred?
No, continue, Christoph.
Okay, just want to say, I think having a kind of a process and as a proven process how to present Bisq to local meetups with all the presentation material ready could work when we spread the word in a structured way. Also, of course, this kind of activity for this local presenter is up for compensation, for a compensation request with BSQ tokens.
Right.
So I think we just have to communicate it properly, have everything ready, and I think that this could be something that helps us scale very easily if we are able to push it. Besides having presence in very in some podcasts or video channels that are super popular in different regions like China or somewhere in Asia. There's a couple of comments in the chat I want to quickly address. In the beginning, when we were talking about the face-to-face trade, was one question regarding cash by mail system. I wasn't sure anymore, but I think we have this, don't we?
Not cash by mail, by US Postal Service. I think it's only for America supported at the moment. The same model, I think, work at least in Australia and I think in Great Britain. And I don't remember the details, but it's kind of like a secure system where you have tracking number and everything. And I think it's get registered that you put money in. Because with normal, more anonymous cash by mail, one problem is in some countries, like I think in Spain or in Italy, it's forbidden, or it's illegal to do it. I mean, that's not a big problem because we can tell people, yeah, you have to check if it's allowed in your country or not. But the other main problem is, yeah, you nearly cannot prove it as an arbitrator. I mean, there are some kind of like messy methods like with video or whatever, but at the end it's super blurry. You don't get a solid evidence as arbitrator when one was cheating. But we could approach the same concept like for the face-to-face trade, because there we have the same problem that the arbitrator cannot really help. And the main kind of like security model, how we could at least try it out if it can work, is that we, by default, we say if there is any dispute, the money will be frozen forever. And it's based on this concept of assured mutual destruction, as of this game theoretical concept, what the US and Russia was playing since ages. When somebody when somebody do something stupid, then it's the death for both. So either both are winning when both are cooperating, or when one try to cheat, both will lose their money and will be locked in forever.
Yeah, but Manfred, do not underestimate errors and mistakes.
Yeah, but that's a good thing.
Fraud.
Yeah,
right?
We don't have this strictness because it's we have the processing model, the process with the 2 of 3 multisig in place, and the arbitrator can still, because another problem with this 2 of 2 multisig, like Bitmarket or Night Trader, Black Halo is using this, and it has a blackmail risk because there's always one who can lose more money, and then the other could blackmail the other in an online environment. When you have it, especially with face-to-face, I think this risk is much lower and becomes even much more lower when the arbitrator has all options open. It's just basically the default option. So the users need to know they have to really come to an agreement. When they have a problem, it's a high risk that they never get out their money, because the arbitrator, when he's not sure, he cannot do a payout. But the arbitrator still can do the payout, especially when there are bugs or usability problems. Then it's just like a normal trade. And even if there is a scam and he's very sure that one was the scammer, he can do the payout. It's a little bit more burden for the arbitrator because it's a much less clear situation. But I could imagine that it's an experiment at the end. When there's too many troubles, we would stop it again. But I could imagine that it works, especially with face-to-face, because with physical access to the other, people are behaving more more polite or better, like online, an online environment where you don't have to fear that you get the consequence of your bad behavior directly. And when it turns out that this is, we could basically use the same concept for caching mail. So when people have problems and one say, no, I've not received it, or it was not enough money or whatever, then basically when nobody can clearly prove it, then the money will be locked in forever. And they can come to a conclusion a year ago when Bitcoin is 100,000 or €1 million, and then they come to reason and say, okay, let's try to get out this money now. They can still say then, okay, now we have an agreement. The arbitrator, please unlock the money. We are now agreeing. So I think it could.
Wait. If both are agreeing, if both parties agree, you don't need the arbitrator, right?
Yeah, you would not need the arbitrator. I mean, technically, as soon as a dispute is open, it goes over the arbitrator. But in future, we will even allow this then that they can do it themselves. So I think, also with this background of this different concept, that it's not the burden of the arbitrator to find out who was the scammer, that by default, when there is a real conflict, then the arbitrator doesn't do a payout. But it's not a guarantee, because when it would be guaranteed, we would have the blackmail risk again. With the chance that the arbitrator still can do the payout, however he thinks it's correct, the blackmail risk is much lower. And yeah, it's a very experimental idea, but that's so far the only kind of for me, most reasonable way how to enable those payment methods where the arbitrator basically cannot get solid proof. And we can leave it a little bit also to the traders, like in a face-to-face trade, when both are doing an audio or video recording of the trade and they present it to the arbitrator. Of course, that will have some weight, even if it's not the perfect proof. And maybe we have to learn over time how it will play out and how it goes. So yeah, I have not added a proposal for caching mail, but when we go for the face-to-face as an experiment, we could probably do the same for caching mail, because I think it's the same problematic.
Yeah, at that point, I just want to point out we have a separate repository, a proposal repository in the Bisq account. And so if you're interested in new, at the moment, I think 4 to 5 new ones. So just dig through the to proposal. There's a lot of discussion going on most of them already, and just provide your feedback and your ideas. So that would be of great help.
Yeah, that would be great for the especially for feedback and analysis of these ideas, and also for developers. So there is at least one proposal for basically replicating the function of Bitcoin average. At the moment, it's a single point of failure for us. When Bitcoin average has a problem, most of the offers will be not working because there's percentage based, and that happened already once in the past. So we would like to get a own service which is collecting different price feeds from different exchanges and make an average price which is very close to the Bitcoin average price, and then mix it again with Bitcoin average. So we are reducing this single point of failure, and the same on the altcoin side. On the altcoin, we have already 2 providers, so it's a little bit less critical. And that's a task where you don't need to know a lot about Bisq. It's a pretty simple task for an experienced Java developer. So that would be great if we find a developer who would take that. And the other proposal, it's about this a way how we can prove the ownership of an account without revealing the identity of the user. I'm not sure if I should explain the details. A little bit complicated. Or for the user, it's not very complicated. For the user, it's you have to go either to your local bank branch and make a withdrawal to yourself with a specific amount, something like $24.78, or alternatively you go to the cash machine and with your ATM card you make a withdrawal also with a specific amount what Bisq tells you, something like $40, because with the cash machines you cannot withdraw fractional amounts. And you present then this transaction to the arbitrator in a way that the arbitrator cannot learn your name or your bank details. He only sees that you have done this transaction. And with that, we know that you cannot be the stolen bank account scammer who has bought this account on the black market, because they usually don't have the ATM card. They only have the online access, and they cannot go to the bank branch because they require ID verification there. So with that, we are piggybacking on those security features from the banking world. And and then the arbitrator would basically give you a certificate. With that, you can display it on your offers, and when you're a taker in the trade process, the other peer will then verify everything was really correct. And it gives us a protection against stolen bank account scammers who have low amounts of dollar or euro on their stolen bank accounts. With high amounts, we have the protection with the account age witness, but with low amounts, we're still vulnerable. And I think that would be a
so basically a verified account sticker on the offers. So basically you would put a verified account sticker or tick or whatever on the offers.
Exactly.
Which, the idea of putting stickers or badges or stuff like that is quite good, because you still not giving any extra information to everyone about this. But
and it's mostly, as it's a little bit more complex, because it's the protection is only interesting for the seller, as the buyer can be the scammer. So it's important for the buyer to have this account verification. When you are a seller, it's irrelevant basically. And when you create an offer, you can request it when you are selling Bitcoin, and you can request that the buyer need to have this verification. But
you mean for the taker, right? So the maker is the one whose offer is visible.
Yeah.
So he's the one who.
Yeah, but when the maker is the seller cannot scam. It's the buyer, always the Bitcoin buyer, who make the fiat transfer, who could make the chargeback. So when you are the seller as a maker, it's irrelevant if you have the verification or not, because it doesn't really. You are at risk, not the taker. The taker will be then the Bitcoin buyer. And
isn't it just simpler to just put a number of trades performed with this account on the account? you know, because it doesn't de-anonymize anything. It doesn't give out any data. It just says this guy has done 50 trades and 0 disputes or something like that.
Also from the usability, and so it will be probably anyway there, as when you are verified, it will be displayed. I just want to explain a little bit the context that it's only in the direction to the buyer, the protection important. But from the user interface, it will be probably, it's not worked out all in detail, but it should be.
We want to avoid going into a reputation system like local Bitcoins, which is user-based. So we only want to give information about attributes which are very objective, like
exactly.
This account is this so old, or this account has done so many trades.
Yeah.
We also put this bank account or this payment method account has had so many disputes opened. That would be like a negative attribute.
Yeah, I think at the moment 99% of the disputes are not malicious, or it's not, I mean, it's bugs or it's usability problems or banking problems. So it would be not a good metric to use, because it's...
No, but eventually, I mean, when you have thousands of users, it'd be a very good way to weed out fraudsters quickly, right? So, you know, you have 100 offers and only 3 of them have previous dispute, 3 disputes open. Well,
yeah, we could basically flag users who have really violated the trade protocol clearly, also in a severe way. They could get basically from the arbitrator a negative certificate, and that will add up. It's easy to escape by setting up a new application with a new identity.
You would never flag users because user information is not kept. You would flag accounts because account information is...
Yeah, it's true. That's hard for him to change, because in Bisq it's the onion address is your identity, and that's easy to change. You just start up a new application and you have a new onion address, but the payment account you cannot change easily. And that's a good idea. That's another, maybe we should write a proposal for this. That would be
you can have with the same identity, you can have 2 different payment accounts.
Yeah.
2 bank accounts, for example.
Yeah.
And maybe one of them is your real one, and then maybe one is a scam or someone else's or whatever. And that's so, and those are identified, right? They're not held in a database, but they are identified by the network.
Yeah, it's like we had this chargeback scammer. He was using, I think, 3 different accounts with the same onion address. So we should combine it, because some of the scammers are not smart enough to understand how to do it correctly, the scam. And we could flag them when one has done a scammer, or a clear scam or a chargeback or whatever. Then, I mean, with clear such scams like chargeback, we have other tools like blocking the user completely. But with other, when somebody has just failed in the trade protocol, has created problem for the other user, has behaved unfair, then we could add something like such a reputation system, which is, would make sense. But this account verification, just to make it clear again, it's the proof that you have made either a transfer from your local bank branch with a specified amount. So the application tells you exactly the amount, so you cannot choose it freely, or you have went to the cash machine and withdrew a specific amount, and the arbitrator verifies in your online banking that you have done this transaction. And in the trade protocol, because the other peer knows then your banking account, he can verify then that it was really all correct. But it doesn't reveal, also the arbitrator, it might be different roles. There will be probably new roles, and will be several such account verifier. And they don't learn about your name. They don't learn about your bank ID. Only what they see is the amount and their bank name. And that's it basically. So it's maybe not 100% perfect from privacy, because there's still some tiny issues, but I think the protection what it delivers is probably worth it. But it's open for discussion. So there is already quite a bit of discussion going on in the proposal.
Yeah. Regarding the discussion, I will post the links to all these proposals in the description afterwards. Yeah, we were driven away a little bit of the next liquidity week. But yeah, that doesn't matter. I just want to have one more comment from Pedro. He was pointing out that we might need more videos for new users. At the moment, we do have some trading videos already. I think we have one with Cash App, how to do your first trade. But yeah, please just tell us either in the comments or on Slack on what kind of videos or what exactly you want to see, what would help you. And yeah, and we'll create a bounty, and everyone can just pick it up and create a tutorial video. So that's also a very good first way to earn your first BSQ tokens. Let me just continue to the next slide, because otherwise we will hit the 1 hour limit. No, sorry. Let me go back first to confirm. So for the next liquidity week, do we want to put it out a voting for Norway, Switzerland, Brazil, and Australia for fiat? Yes. And yes, and for the altcoin liquidity week, do we just want put out a tweet? We're thinking about doing a liquidity week for Zcash, or do we want to pick also a couple of altcoins?
Do a poll with top ones. Let people vote. Yeah, we might find out something we don't know. Monero, Ethereum, Zcash.
Yeah, I will do it the same way, like with the fiat. Look at in which markets we have already some activity, and then we'll put it out there as well. Okay. So report. I will just present to everyone. Just a sec. Yeah. I don't want to spend too much time here. The monthly report for May will go out, I think, probably tomorrow. I've put out I put on this slide a couple of blocks from this report. I will go through them quickly. On the top right, our latest release was 0.70. It's not even a month out, and actually we already see more than 12,000 downloads. So that was really, really quick, especially if you compare it to other releases. So there was quite a success, I would say. And this release is packed with lots of features. But we are working already on 0.71, which will include also some bug fixes that were introduced, just minor ones, and there will also be some additional enhancement depending when the release will go out. And always fingers crossed that we are able to release it quite soon, maybe in the next couple of weeks. On YouTube, you're watching this, so you hopefully already subscribed to our channels. If not, please subscribe. We do grow our viewer base slowly, step by step. So it's not that we have a huge viewer base, but a very loyal ones. And our views are going up. But we don't only create this kind of videos for transparency and documentation purpose only. We do this, of course, also because of these reasons. But we do it actually for you. So it's important for us that you let us know what you like, what you don't like, and what we should cover in the future. For example, like Pedro said, that you want to see more videos for newcomers, for new users on Bisq network. On the global volume, last month we had a little dip, but this dip is mainly because we had a very, very strong Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin market in April, and this market wasn't active in May. So that was the main reason why we see now this dip again. If we look on the average number of daily trades per day, we just had a really small decrease. So people are still trade a lot, but just smaller amounts. And that's also a point. Alfredo, are you still with us? Just to check.
Yes, yes, here I am.
Okay, perfect. Alfredo did a great report on payment methods last month. And maybe, Alfredo, can you walk us through your findings? Maybe also to share a light why we see so many trades but lack in volume.
Yeah, of course. We really well. I've started to put together a payment methods report, and well, that defines the initial findings is well something that we were already seeing, that the most of the volume is constituted by basically three channels. It's just the Bitcoin in the Bitcoin Euro pair. We have the SEPA accounts, and we have the Bitcoin dollar. That is the main channel is sell, and then the next main volume is for payment methods is the altcoins, and those make almost 80% of all the trades, of all the volume, and that it's so I think it's really important to also while we always think about adding new payment methods, also think about how to add value here to what the really use is being. Actually, I was also thinking about looking for some pockets of probable early adopters or heavy users, such as, for example, people that trade on one broker, or people that do different that for some ways are receiving bitcoins, so that we can target them and then make some information to them about which would be regarding their use case, and inform them, make some awareness about Bisq, and also some information, some simple information about how Bisq could be useful for them. Then also we were looking about the volume. Using the bar chart on the top of the page. It's the volume of each of the trades. It seems well, at first sight, I thought it could be that people were trying to do the minimum amount trades to reduce risk, but with lower fees, percentile fees, such as at a 0.6 bitcoins, there's a big amount of trades. Most of the trades were made around 0.6 bitcoins. But then also Manfred pointed out, he pointed out also that that is also the limit, the first limit for each of the accounts. So there may be also a lot of accounts that are trading with still that limit on place. And well, basically, I'm going to try to do some research from now from payment methods outside Bitcoin, but also trying to find how to push the already dominant payment methods ahead, so we have better liquidity.
One question. Would it make sense, in your opinion, to try to push the remittance idea for the euro to dollar market? Because those are really the strong markets where you don't have a problem that there is a lack of liquidity. With developing countries, we usually don't have a strong market like with India or Mexico or so. So that's a big problem to start the remittance idea. But there are for sure a lot of people who want to send money between Europe and America, and they have the same problem because the banks are super expensive or slow and so on. I mean, it's probably not such a big problem because those people who are technically also probably have some alternatives like TransferWise or whatever. But
yeah, but of course it's a much larger user base. So we are tapping into a much larger market. So I think it would be really useful. Also, we can test this idea and see how it works. We can see before making all the development effort, we can maybe write some posts or get in touch with some of the communities to see if people would get on board. Yeah, I could also think of an experiment that we can do because really remittances would be a really good and big volume.
Yeah, also it would not be a development issue. It would you can use Bisq for remittance already, like it is. It just needs a little bit explanation how to do it, and maybe some video or some tutorial.
Okay, so it's not a new feature. Okay,
no,
so it's just using it for doing the remittances in the manual way. Okay.
Yeah, it's like
you just need someone. You just need someone who's got an account in Europe and in the US. For example, I think Chris might do, and just do an online live video. You know, he buys bitcoins with euros and sells the bitcoins for dollars, and you know he's moving euros into dollars simultaneously. It's the concept is simple, but people really need to see it being done to understand what it can do.
Yeah, and I think for many expats living in Europe, so it would be interesting feature, and they have usually both accounts on both sides, so it's probably.
In fact, you don't even need a person with accounts on both sides, because in remittances, it's not always a person sending money to themselves, right? But sending it to their relatives or someone else.
Yeah.
So, but then you need twice as many people. You need one person on each side. Whereas if you have someone with both accounts, it can be done rather quickly. In effect, anyone can do it right now. All you have to do is, you know, open Bisq, be a taker on the euro side, and be a taker on the be a taker for a buy order on the euro side, be a taker for a sell or offer on the dollar side, and that's it. Anyone can do it right now.
Yeah. Euro out, dollar in.
Yeah, and if you select, if you're very close to the current market price, the offers are getting taken super quickly in these two markets.
Yeah,
so
when you're lucky, you even win some money.
Yeah. Okay. From my side, I've covered all open points. Are there any questions from anyone who is watching us live? We'll give you a couple of minutes to answer. On everyone on the call, is there something that you want to discuss? Yeah, Anders? Yeah.
I just want to make sure that you guys think it could be a good idea that once I'm back in about 1.5 months, I'll go forward with this Bisq workshop, essentially kind of thing on meetups. First try it in my own meetup, and then the interesting thing is if I can put together a package so it can be scaled out to much more than one meetup, but that I can start contacting meetups all over. And give them the tools to do a similar workshop themselves, or that I do it on a call with them or something like that. But I'm presuming that you guys were positive about that. It sounded like that, right?
I think it's a great idea, but I would highly recommend making it into a video so that it can be reused many times I don't think the Bisq can afford to have someone traveling around doing a roadshow, but they, you know, if you get a YouTube video of it done, it can be seen many more times.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think actually I'm not aware if there are any tutorial videos at the moment, but they would definitely be a good idea. But I think both could be valuable, because one thing is that I could go out now and watch a video about some decentralized exchange that I haven't heard about. Another is if I'm physically next to someone who explains it, that gives that sort of like, I don't know, for me, I know that works, that I can relax. There's someone who can, you know, hold my hand and explain. So I think both is valuable.
Trusted in-person, face-to-face recommendation and tutorial is the best you can do. I just don't think we're going to be able to scale it. And in case we cannot, it's good to have the video also.
Agree.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, cool. Alfredo, you also wanted to ask something?
No, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay. Yeah. If there are not any more questions from the audience, I would wrap it up if that's fine. Okay, then. Thank you for watching us today, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And we'll see each other again next Thursday. See you soon, and thanks everyone for participating.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.